Hi guys, my name is Mike Davidson. I am the owner and creator of the Arsonist Manifesto. I'm also one of your moderators here on the Poetry Kingdom. And I was asked to do a reading for Majestic Mike night. It's basically what this is. Jamie is just out of the frame. She's got a little stage fright. But yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and hop right into it. It's titled Return to Sender. And this is Nostalgia's Reverie. Confessions always have this aura about them, this haunting dogma that I'm disclosing something in need of repentance. A novice to intimacy, though, I mastered holding your darkest parts, demure but secure, in ambient lighting, just bright enough to expose them to the fallacy in my pages. But what if I wish to remain a closed book on your shelf? Then at least I wouldn't have to ask vulnerability to cite references on how I loved you in the silence between my words. What if I didn't take inventory and catalog my bookmarks, damp with ambrosious bliss, holding space for memories with you that I got drunk off of yet hadn't read all the way through, or the ones that I have yet to make once trucks took root. Bookmarks that source citations, alarming accusations that I, a writer, bibliophile, skipped your best parts. What if I never wanted to be put in the least traveled, broken wing of my library and tirelessly sort through articles, page-long professions of self-help handbooks that gave me the nuts and bolts version of how our solid foundation turned natural disaster, a narrative of quotes that provoke me to jump off the ledges of my lament, the cliff notes, murder she wrote, practical guide into how the spark in our connection died because of my shitty service and late payments made on borrowed time. But by that time, I had already dropped the call, the one call I was sure I wouldn't miss, of how the love you loaned had flown the coop on what I thought was a binding contract, a pact between initiatives you had to keep on my behalf, a transcript on how to lose your other half. What if I never had this stack of chapters on how to ask you for closure or clarity into what your pages held, because you were simply above my reading level? Because then at least the reader wouldn't have to digest all these metaphors for this metamorphosis of a man who's been reduced to a confused boy, a toy for fickle faith's hope. So I'm writing this letter to you in hopes that I at least have enough toner in my cartridge left to create copies of my apology, so that in some way, shape, or form, by and large, on the average and for the most part, our story wasn't a waste of space on your shelf. That may be enough reflection and temperance. I'd be able to look in the mirror and see what you saw in me. Then maybe I could turn it into a bestseller. So I'm writing you today because my conviction decided that today I must grant clemency to my sentences. An end to my inner monologue silence. A silence I must break, rendering commission of our shared pages be restored, titled, quote, Dear Agony, forsake the silence for her sake. What if I decided to change? To have my nature a minefield filled with landmines all simultaneously detonate and take shelter in you and your tunnel vision? To cave in and kneel before the way you nurture. Perhaps it is my time to give in. Because raising a white flag to the standing army of regrets and shameful remembrances of all of the battles I won, yet somehow still resulted in the loss, catastrophic loss of our love. It doesn't sound all that bad. It sounds a bit more peaceful than remaining a prisoner of war in this war of attrition, commanded by revenant lament. But but God damn it, not today, because my obsession to make up for lost time, lost track of time, and somehow the chapter we left off on, and I fear that I'll get lost in the lines, reading between the lines. And then this time, you won't accept my bookmark. Because you no longer reserve a space for me on your shelf. So I guess I just can't simply seem to find the right words to write or the right way to say that you're my favorite book. But I digress. I fear you won't stamp it with your approval anyways, so I'll mail it tomorrow, maybe. Maybe tomorrow I'll have enough courage in knowing that it's my turn to surrender. But for now, I'll just remember. P.S. Return to sender.